Engineers, welcome. Thought I'd throw up a live stream today. I'm editing a feature film and an hour-long documentary right now amongst channel duties, and just isn't time to fully edit a plugins this week video or a review right now, so I'm kind of paused on Dollhouse video editing. But I've got to edit I just finished the first cut of the documentary, and only after listening to it did the client decide that they need to replace the entire voiceover, and not only that, change the script while they were doing it. So that throws my entire timeline off. Oh, but the stuff you got to do for clients for video editing. Oh boy. The exciting part is that there is a huge sale on right now, and oh, I should make a QR code for that. Let's see. Let's go over to Pluginboutique, and oh, RipX DAW. I'll have to do something on that one day. That's a interesting little stem making DAW. Well, let's go here. I do believe Wavelab Steinberg has joined Pluginboutique, which is really cool. So Wavelab and everything is on massive sale. And on Steinberg.com, there are half-off sales for just about everything, Cubase, Wavelab, and all their other Coolio plugins. Let's get back to where we were. And so I took advantage of that, and I got Wavelab Pro 12 today. I've been on 10 forever, and it was kind of barely working, to be frank. And I've got
it is here that the role
Voiceover.
of media
You guys getting
mogul
audio on
Henry
that?
Luce, owner
Looks
of
like you are.
Time, Life, and Fortune magazines, becomes extremely interesting.
So this is Voiceover recorded at client's home. He's got a decent mic setup. And I'd already pulled this into Final Cut. And without thinking about it, I left on the compressors that I had in Final Cut. So it's actually boosting up background noise and all the breaths. So Wavelab, if you don't know, is a standalone audio editor and mastering tool. It's meant for kind of both CD authoring, all that kind of stuff. It's great to have something that's separate from the DAW that focuses on audio editing directly. The first thing I want to do is get some kind of gate going here. Get these breaths down. So now I already set this up. So this is just the gate sitting here on its default settings.
One must wonder how the Air Force's policy of publicizing.
And this is the setup that I was working with. And see, I'm not using the compressor. I've already got plenty of compression at this point. And I've changed up the threshold, the open and close settings, and attack and release. So there we go. So we don't hear barely anything of that breath now.
One must wonder how the Air Force's policy of publicizing artificial devices operated by a high intelligence not made from this earth could be publicly promoted.
Documentaries about UFOs and whether they are a government psyop or whether they're real. Any of you guys ever seen UFOs? Drop love, yo. Good to see ya. yeah, I've been too crammed, Drop love. I'm swamped in video editing projects. So I thought I'd combine work and pleasure and get on here and share the whole experience with you guys of re-editing a VO, and share Wavelab 12, which I'm just super stoked about. A lifelong, been using Wavelab since 99.
One must wonder how the Air Force's policy of publicizing artificial devices operated by a high intelligence not made from this earth
sound pretty good.
Could be publicly
I'm not looking
promoted
to
on the one hand, while the
erase
same Air
the
Force
breaths.
frantically suppressed all discussion of UFOs on the other. Could it be that these apparently contradictory narratives were simply two sides of one psychological warfare experiment carried out on the minds of Americans?
Oh, what is that? Carried out.
Experiment carried out on the experiment, carried out on the
airied out
experiment, carried out on the.
All right, so my attack time is too slow. Let's bring this way down. Let's see how much we can get away with. Look ahead is on, so C1 is looking ahead instead of just reacting, so it can actually react almost instantly to a transient. So let's see if we get the C back and carried.
Experiment carried out on.
There we go.
Experiment carried out on the minds of Americans.
Okay. This is also dirty as hell. He just recorded in one giant stretch. One take. So all the gaffes, errors are in here. Just 1 second here. Nice, seems they are all real. The projects, yeah, projects are extremely real, and the deadlines are getting extremely real, and each client is kind of at the same time sending massive revisions and asking where the project is, you know, the usual fun stuff. The thing is, only one of them technically pays. The other one is with my production company partner back in Ottawa, a film that we shot. And so there's actually no pay on deck for that unless the movie becomes a blockbuster.
It is here that the role of media mogul Henry Luce, owner of Time, Life, and Fortune magazines, becomes extremely interesting. Henry Luce was not merely a self-professed fascist and sponsor of a
Yeah, there we go. So new to, believe it or not, new only now to Wavelab is tab to transient. So this is extremely helpful, and right now I've got it so that it snaps to transients, so I can just hold shift, select that piece of garbage, check my edit.
And sponsor of American fascism prior to the war, placing Benito Mussolini on his magazine covers extensively from 1923 until the fascist leader's death. But Luce...
There's a way to get it to play back. Is it shift play? No. I don't remember. You can get it to... I'm rusty on Wavelab, guys. Don't hold it against me. It's been quite a while since I've used it in depth. It used to be a regular part of life. Everybody remember doing bounces from your Dahl or from tape, getting them in to a DAT or getting them into your computer, and then having to do this whole separate process and burn a CD? I sure do. That's the biggest reason I got involved with Wavelab, is that it's fantastic for making CDs.
Placing Benito Mussolini on his magazine covers extensively from 1923 until the fascist leader's death. But Luce was...
Oh. Yeah, he got it. His first voiceover, he kept pronouncing things all kind of French and foreign. Henry Luce, the founder of Time magazine, he'd call him Luce or Luce.
But Luce was also closely...
So I sent him notes and he's corrected that pronunciation. That's good.
The Rockefeller Foundation. Working alongside the Rockefellers and using his own media outlets. Luce and using his...
Cool, and then good old backspace gets rid of things. The delete key puts a mute gap in.
And using his own media outlets. Luce
feeling Essing isn't bad, but we could use a bit of help. So for the first time, I'm trying out RX's deess. This comes with Ozone 11, the full edition.
And using his own media outlets. Luce advanced the new imperial
That's softening things a lot.
Working alongside the Rockefellers and using his own media outlets. Luce advanced the new imperial Luce advanced a new imperial vision for an American empire, publishing the...
I love it when a talent goes publishing
the American century in 1941.
Okay, so here I'll just press delete and mute all that.
In this influential manifesto, Luce called...
This might be a bit much. Let's raise the threshold and see if that helps.
Luce advanced a new imperial vision for an American empire, publishing The American Century in 1941.
That's quite nice, actually.
In this influential manifesto, Luce called for the USA to abandon its historical antagonism to global
so you can
empire,
see the transient
and
markers
instead
showing up
embrace
as
its
I'm
destiny
selecting there
as the dominant
on the
hegemon
screen.
of
That's
a
really
new
nice.
world empire.
Oh,
Luce called.
okay, good. Now playback goes to my selection. Pretty much out of the box, Wavelab set up for fast editing.
Luce called for the USA to abandon its historical antagonism to global empire.
Maybe just a micro hair less, like quarter dB less reduction.
Luce called for the USA to abandon its historical antagonism to global empire and instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new world empire. Luce was closely world empire. Luce was closely allied.
Now, you know, the funny thing is, I tried, let's put them in. I was trying earlier, breath. Whoops. RX11 breath control. So I was trying this, and I just, like, all these breath plugins
of a new world empire. Luce was closely allied. Luce was close.
So, I mean, it seems to catch that breath, but...
Of a new world.
I've got the gate off.
Of a new world empire. Luce.
Target level. The level that I want to bring it down to.
Of a new world empire.
There we go.
Luce was closely aligned with the same Rockefeller Foundation that had funded the War of the Worlds broadcast in 19...
See, it's already finding stuff that isn't breath.
Luce was closely aligned with the same Rockefeller Foundation that had funded the War of the Worlds broadcast in 1938 and joined the elite 1956 Special Studies Project funded by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund,
so
alongside Lawrence Rockefeller, David Rockefeller, Nelson Rockefeller, and young Henry Kissinger,
really hear it.
Writing in Prospects for America that it was and is...
See, I mean, it's like there's not a lot of things I can control here. I can't control the attack and release, so this is kind of useless. And then we'll try kind of the big boy classic, which is D-breath. D-breath can be very complicated to get right, so let's go to one of these chunks here. And I'm going to hit shift.
And instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new...
Now, the energy bar is if it's below a certain energy, it'll start thinking of it as a breath. And the breath is above a certain energy, it's going to let it through. So it's kind of two different thresholds here. So let's see what it does with this.
And instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new world empire. And instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new world empire. And instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new world empire. And instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new world empire. And instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new world empire. And instead embrace its destiny as the to global empire. And instead embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a new world empire. Luce was closely aligned with the same Rockefeller Foundation that had funded the War of the Worlds broadcast in 1938 and joined the elite 1956 Special Studies Project funded by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund.
We don't need to go to infinite reduction.
Lawrence Rockefeller,
like
David Rockefeller, Nelson Rockefeller, and young Henry Kissinger, writing in Prospects for America that it was and is the American...
Okay, so here I've got a quote starting, and I'm going to affect those with... I'm going to put like a distortion effect on. So I'm going to make a region marker there. And later, I'm going to pull this into the audio montage, which is a multi-track mastering tool, and I can take these quotes, pull them up into another track, put my radio effect on. I'll do that at the end.
And is the American task to take the lead in creating a new form of world order. Henry Luce was also an early propagandist for
Delete to mute that, drop my region out marker, and now that whole section in there. Later on, I'll pull that into another track.
Henry Luce was also an early propagandist for another branch of the Cold War secret science program that Henry Luce was also an early propagandist for another branch of the Cold War secret science. Henry Luce was also an early propagandist for another branch of the Cold War secret science program dubbed MK Ultra. No actual comprehension of the hidden hand behind UFOs could MK Ultra. No actual comprehension of the hidden hand behind UFOs could be understood.
So, you know, this makes me very wary about leaving this on as an automation, and I'll do all this work on an hour-long voiceover and then find out afterwards that it started cutting off. It has a tendency to cut off chus and f's and stuff like that, thinking they're breaths. So deep breath is good in short bursts, but for an hour-long voiceover, I'd rather just go with a classic gate.
Dubbed MK Ultra. No actual comprehension of the hidden hand
C1's
behind
working
UFOs
almost better.
Could be understood.
Last step then will be to put on a limiter. Let's turn that on. And this is the W1. I covered this in a plugins this week. This is a free version of to attempt to recreate the L1 limiter from Waves, and he did a fantastic job.
Dubbed MK Ultra.
So it's just automatic
no actual
gain
comprehension of the hidden hand behind UFOs could be understood
adaptive release
without an appreciation for MK Ultra
like
and the rise of the new drug-laced spirituality.
As the limit. Okay. Delete to mute that.
MK Ultra was a vast secret science program which was revealed publicly during the Church Committee hearings of 1975. Between 1953 and 1973, MK Ultra involved a vast complex of thousands of projects and sub-projects that developed a wide array of psychoactive drugs, hypnosis, trauma-based mind control, techniques of sexual abuse, sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy, and torture more.
Oops. I've got it set to go back to cursor.
Of thousands of projects and sub-projects that developed a wide drugs, hypnosis, trauma-based mind control, techniques of sexual abuse, sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy, and torture more, and psychological torture more broadly.
Whew, probably going to get demonetized for this.
Therapy and psychological torture more broadly.
Got a huge gap here. Let's just get rid of that. Delete to mute. So, I mean, just a quick little, we should take a little quick
electroshock therapy, and psychological. These horrific experiments carried out on millions of civilians involve the application of psychiatric theories premised on a mixture of Sigmund Freud, Pavlov, the founder of behaviorism, and Carl Jung. Just as the British Empire's leading scientist, Sir Henry
This
Kazan,
is always my favorite one here, the spectroscope.
These horrific experiments carried out on millions of civilians involve the application of psychiatric theories. Involve the application.
And this now, the transient detection is so good. I can't. It took Steinberg
involve the application
forever to get tab to transients going, both in Cubase and still that was several years ago. Now in Wavelab, finally. And yeah, this thing is genius. The master section is its own independent bus with custom sections for putting in your dither and say your leveling, limiting after the fader. Lots of options. Massive batch processor, and then the audio montage, which is a multi-track for putting albums together, and very cool. More clip-based, a little bit more like a DAW.
On a mixture of Sigmund Freud, Pavlov, the founder of behaviorism, and Carl Jung. Just as the British Empire's leading...
I am just so impressed with the C1 gate here.
Just as the British Empire...
I'm not sure why nobody can make a really good AI debreather. It seems to me if there's something you could do with machine learning, it would be to teach it where there's a block of speech and then there's a very distinct sound, and you just get rid of that. I don't see why this one's so difficult, but that's easy for me to say. I don't make software.
Just as the British Empire's leading scientist, Sir Henry Tizard, oversaw the Manhattan Project during the 1940 Tizard Commission to Washington, and just as the same Sir Henry Tizard oversaw the largest government inquiry into UFOs with his 1950 Flying Saucer Working Party, we shouldn't be surprised to again find Tizard.
Okay, let's get
we shouldn't be surprised to again here too as the initiator of MK Ultra.
MK Ultra.
In her book The Shock Doctrine, Naomi Klein writes of a high-level meeting in Montreal, Canada, overseen by Sir Tizard in 1951. Quote by Naomi Klein: This Ritz-Carlton meeting.
Okay, so we'll do that.
This Ritz-Carlton meeting on brainwashing would lay the seeds for MK Ultra, which meeting on brainwashing. MK Ultra, which this Ritz-Carlton meeting on brainwash. This Ritz-Carlton
Almost, buddy. You got it.
This Ritz-Carlton meeting on brainwashing. This Ritz-Carlton meeting on brainwashing would lay the seeds for MK Ultra, and DMT, with the intention of breaking down a human mind into a blank slate through depatterning, in order to then reconstruct those broken minds from scratch. Although commonly believed to be
It's cool. You get to start to recognize where the errors are visually. It looks like he made it there.
Although commonly believed to be simply a popular vice or recreational activity, the fact is that a wide assortment of The fact is that a wide assortment of hallucinogenic drugs have been used since ancient times as part of initiation ceremonies into various pagan mystery religions, such as the rites of Eleusis. In World War II, the Swiss chemist Dr. Albert Hofmann found himself working on strains of ergot, a fungus that grows on wheat, which he found contained strong hallucinogenic properties. Sergot in 1940.
What do you guys think about the tone of his voice? Do you think he needs any help with EQ? Enough bass? Let's look at this neat plugin from Accentize. This one attempts to, at least at first, automatically adjust your audio to be in its best situation for dialogue. Let's see what it does. So I got everything's on automatic mode. Let's see what we got.
Dr. Hoffman extracted a substance called lysergic acid dithylamide from this ergot in 1943, which became known far and wide as LSD-25.
It's really rolling off his bass.
Hoffman's LSD-25 continued to be developed by continued to be developed as LSD-25. Throughout the Cold War,
a bit of a game
Hoffman's LSD-25 continued to be developed by continued wide as LSD-25. Throughout the Cold War, Hoffman's LSD-25 continued to be developed by human guinea pigs across the military, continued to be developed by MI6 and the CIA, and tested on millions of unsuspecting human guinea pigs across the military, schools, and psychiatric hospitals of America and England. Of America, Canada, and England.
Ooh, good correction.
Military, schools, and psychiatric hospitals of America and
Is that another one there?
Fucking crows outside. I hope they're not being picked up here. Hospitals of America.
Yeah, that's not good.
Psychiatric hospitals of America.
So I kind of got a little bit double on the ofs.
Psychiatric hospitals of America, Canada, and England.
This documentary will have music throughout, so I don't have to go insane thinking about splices.
In 1974, Dr.
this?
Hoffman wrote a book dubbed The Road to Eleusis, alongside former J.P. Morgan Vice President Gordon Wasson, which posited that this hallucinogenic substance had been known to the priests of the ancient mystery religions, which used a myriad of psychoactive drugs from opium to mushrooms and ergot to induce
I don't think, I don't know, what do you guys think? I don't think the dialogue enhancer is doing much on this track. It has been, really processed already, so.
In 1974, Dr. Hoffman wrote a book dubbed The Road to Eleusis, alongside former J.P. Morgan Vice President Gordon Wasson, which posited that this hallucinogenic substance had been known to the...
To all you voiceover talent out there, make sure you start from the start of your sentence all over again. This can get very tricky.
Which posited that this
one won't be bad, but sometimes guys just correct the little spot that they know they got wrong instead of going back, and then the tone of the sentence, the words in the sentence don't match up.
Which posited that this
timing's a little lazy.
Which posited that this
still a little bit of a drag.
Which posited that this hallucinogenic substance had been known to the priests of the ancient mystery religions, which used a myriad of psychoactive drugs from opium to mushrooms and ergot to induce altered states during initiation ceremonies. It was the view of the authors of The Road to Eleusis that the time had come to revive these ancient practices in the modern age. It is here again that we find Henry Luce as pioneer of MKUltra propaganda, with his Life magazine being the first major press agency to promote the notion that psychedelic mushrooms were a gateway to a new spiritual liberation. Vacation of J.P. Morgan Vice President. This was accomplished through the 1957 publication of J.P. Morgan Vice President seeking. This was accomplished through.
Okay.
This was accomplished through the 1957 publication of J.P. Morgan Vice President R. Gordon Wasson's
What do you guys use for audio editors? Do you still use them, or you just get back into your DAW and edit clips there?
1955 hallucinogenic pilgrimage to Mexico. Wasson's highly publicized report in Life magazine and nationwide speaking tour to hundreds of universities served as a guidebook for millions of young beatniks and hippies who would follow his footsteps into their own drug-induced.
Okay, now if I hold shift and go to the... Yes, that works. This transient stuff is so good for Wavelab.
His footsteps into their own.
A little bit dorky.
Into their own. Footsteps into their own.
See, he's got a different speed now.
Footsteps into their own.
Into their own, and then...
Into their own.
It doesn't quite have the same beat, you know? Let's try... Is that it there?
To their own in to their own in to their own in to their own in into their own in into their own in into their own in steps into their own drug-induced initiation ceremonies in the coming decades. These countless admirers of these countless young admirers of Wasson.
That was here to here, right?
These countless young admirers of Wasson. These countless young admirers of Wasson would learn to shed their outdated belief in morality. No. These countless...
Here we go. Yeah, the fun of video editing.
These countless young admirers of Wasson would learn to shed their outdated beliefs in nationalism, family traditions, morality, and God in favor of a radically new, sexualized, drug-laced spirituality.
Yeah, I'm getting demonetized playing this. I forgot how kind of dank this gets. But I guess, it's in its own way, it's faster and easier than comping together, 20 vocal takes.
In favor of a radically new, sexualized, drug-laced spirituality. Drug-laced spirituality. Drug-laced spirituality. Drug-laced...
All right, I guess you wanted to put a real button on that.
Sexualized, drug-laced spirituality.
See, they don't fit together anymore.
Sexualized, drug-laced spirituality. Drug-laced spirituality.
Let's try that one.
Sexualized, drug-laced spirituality.
Yeah, okay. That one will work. Let's do that. I think he wants a little break here. Silence that.
Apparently, the only people over 30 whom the burgeoning New Age movement were expected to trust, giving away free drugs. People giving away free drugs. Giving away free drugs. Those old people giving away free... Those old people giving away free drugs. One of those early disciples of Wasson was a man named Terence McKenna, who throughout the 1980s and 1990s did the most to promote psilocybins through his Green Earth Foundation, which found vast...
I just realized my camera is underneath my... Dollhouse Studios logo. One sec here, guys. There we go. And transition. Yay. Okay.
Promote psilocybins through his Green Earth Foundation, which found vast patronage from none other than Lawrence Rockefeller. McKenna distinguished himself by not only promoting psilocybins, but also added his own thesis that benevolent aliens communicate to humanity via these mind drugs. Apparently, getting high was all that humanity's elites need to do in order to communicate with advanced enough to give up. Apparently, getting high was all that humanity's elites. Apparently, getting high was all. 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 Apparently, apparently, getting high was all that humanity's elites need to do in order to communicate with advanced ETs in other dimensions, who have been kind enough to give us those technologies needed to build pyramids.
Oh, whoops, forgot to turn my mic off. So I was just sorting through my plugins, getting rid of the ones that I don't use, because I don't know if this is a setting that can be changed. When you bypass all in Wavelab and then turn them back on, it turns on every single plugin that you have, where I wish it would remember the ones that I had bypassed myself. And even though I took out Accentize's dialogue enhancer 2, I can't recommend it enough. See, I've already gone through a full kind of processing round on this dialogue with compression and some EQ and stuff. But sometimes that dialogue enhancer plugin will do it all for you with just by inserting it. And it just auto levels everything, puts a nice little classic EQ on it. Really good stuff.
Apparently, getting high was all that humanity's elites need to do in order to communicate with advanced ETs in other dimensions, who have been kind enough to give us those technologies needed to build pyramids, Taj Mahals, or even modern science itself. The unification of extraterrestrial communication
this is a really interesting documentary. It's going to be quite
became
amazing.
A normal component of the New Age cosmology and played a role in Lawrence Rockefeller's creation of the Disclosure Project in 1992, employing a former military physician named Stephen Years. The Disclosure Project served as an umbrella organization tying together over the coming.
See, I'd love it if when I take that little section out there, that the cursor would move exactly that amount so that it continues playing wherever it's at down the line instead of skipping ahead by the amount that I've taken out. You know what I mean?
As its spokesman. Over the coming years, the Disclosure Project served as an umbrella organization tying together hundreds of UFO truth groups under a unified control as the Soviet Union collapsed, winning the support of key figures
Okay, voila. So far, very happy
winning
with
the support of key figures
Wavelab
within
12.
the new Clinton
It's not
White
a
House,
lot different than
including
10.
including both Bill and Hillary Clinton, as well as John Podesta. Lawrence Rockefeller's initiative. It was while following Lawrence Rockefeller's initiative that Bill Clinton released thousands of classified UFO documents. During this time that Bill Clinton released.
Whoops, got rid of too much.
It was while following Lawrence Rockefeller's initiative. It was while following Lawrence Rockefeller's initiative that Bill Clinton released 1993. That Bill Clinton released initiative that Bill Clinton.
At least he's breaking it up by phrase nicely.
Rockefeller's initiative that Bill Clinton released thousands of classified UFO documents to the public in 1993, and it was also during this time that Hillary began visiting his UFO coming out party, widely known in 2002. During this time that Hillary began.
Oh, we got to double that.
during this time that Hillary began visiting Lawrence's New Jersey ranch. John Podesta made his UFO coming out party widely known in 2002 and has devoted himself to UFO disclosure for the next 20 years. And has continued to devote himself to UFO disclosure for the next 22 years.
That's the end of a chapter, I guess. Won't need that long of a break. Go to there, delete for silence.
Clip of Podesta, the UFO thing. The irony that a JP Morgan vice president, a Rockefeller family patriarch, and a fascist media mogul would become patrons of the counterculture was lost on many. It is also worth noting that Henry Luce was not just a promoter of magic mushrooms and aliens, but was also an avid consumer of LSD-25 and did more than anyone alive to popularize this drug as more than anyone 25 and did more than anyone alive to popularize this drug as well.
This is so much easier in Wavelab than it was in Final Cut. Final Cut can be frustrating for audio editing, I gotta tell you.
Luce's biographer, Stephen Siff, wrote of the mogul's embrace of LSD. If we're fascinated by it.
Okay, gonna drop a region marker, go to insert. Lots of different markers. You can have correction markers that will, you can drop in and re-record them or skip them. Was that the right marker I added? There we go.
Time in life were fascinated by LSD. Henry Luce's magazines discovered LSD in 1954 and remained enthusiastic even as the drug was becoming popular with recreational users, frequently discussing the experience in an explicitly biblical framework. With endorsements of LSD, biblical framework. Scare stories were balanced with endorsements of LSD. Scare stories were Scare stories were balanced with endorsements of LSD by professors, businessmen, and celebrities. And some articles even read like advertisements. Let's just end that quote right there.
Okay. Thank you, client. I like when they put notes right into
like
the recording.
Advertisements.
Okay, and then my out for the region.
That's it. Yeah, let's just end that quote right there. Many people have come to believe that the drug culture of the 1960s happened despite the CIA or Wall Street tycoons. But the facts show that in promoting drugs No. Many people have come to believe.
Oh, he's doing the whole thing. Okay.
Many people have come to believe that the drug culture of the 1960s happened despite the CIA or Wall Street tycoons. Many people have come to believe that the drug culture of the 1960s happened despite the CIA liberation. That the drug culture of the 1960s happened despite the CIA or Wall Street tycoons. But the facts show that it was the CIA and military intelligence that developed those drugs which users have come to see as their spiritual liberation. Drugs as a key to mental health. That developed those drugs which users have come to see as their spiritual liberation. Additionally, by promoting drugs as a key to mental health.
So I think what I'm doing wrong is I should be working right to left, because then that will place the cursor there. And I delete, And then now
Additionally,
it's waiting for
by
me to play
promoting
back. So I got
drugs
to work
as a
right
key
to left and
mental
not
health,
left to right.
personal liberation,
selecting
and even
deleting.
religious experiences, personal liberation, and
So I've got the, you can do a lot with the cursor. You can have a scroll
personal
view. View follows the
personal
cursor
liberation.
once it gets to the end of the screen.
MK Ultra,
right? That kind of thing. And then I've got here, I right click on the stop, and I've got start position on stop after playback. After automated playback, I don't know what that means. If this option is activated, the cursor jumps back to the start position when any of these playback functions is stopped. Play to, playback from, playback range. Okay.
MK Ultra itself was overseen by CIA Director Alan Dulles, as well as the American chemist and spy master Sidney Gottlieb, who both managed a vast array.
So wherever I touch, it's going to play from.
Who both managed a vast array of experiments across North America. In the CIA's Harvard psilocybin project founded in 19. In the CIA's Harvard psilocybin project founded.
I've done some VO work myself. It's tricky stuff. It's a real talent.
A devoted disciple of both Dulles and Carl Jung, named Dr. Henry Murray, used talented young students as test cases with a star guinea pig named Theodore Kaczynski coming out of the experience with a strange desire to murder anyone who promoted industrial. After sending out murderous letter coming out of the experience.
Can't say enough about George Young's W1 limiter, though. I mean, if you don't have the Waves L1 limiter, then you're already missing out. It's one of the best limiters ever made. So easy to use, so adaptive, sounds great on anything. You know, it's like a maximizer for just about any track. I put it on the ends of the chains of so many tracks just to get that little last bit of compression and limiting on the track. And you know, you got to get into the Waves ecosystem and buy the thing somehow. This guy's recreated it by hand, and you can see in my video. Let's go find it. Ding, darn. Go to my channel, search across your channel, W1. No, L1. There we go. That's it there. Plugins this week, 07-29-24. One man makes a free version of Waves L1 limiter. Check that out. Oh, I didn't share the screen. Sorry, guys. I'm still getting used to OBS. So there we go. Plugins this week, 07-29-24. If you want to learn more about this. And it's free, so I mean, let's get it, right?
Coming out of the experience with a strange desire to murder anyone who promoted industrial civilization. After sending out murderous letter, coming out of the experience with a strange desire to murder anyone who promoted
I'm still going left to right, see?
To murder
the habits
anyone
are hard
who
to break.
promoted industrial civilization.
Select right to left, Jason.
After sending out murderous letter bombs, after sending out murderous even of there to murder
No, it's
anyone
going back
who
to
promoted.
there. Huh.
After sending out murderous letter bombs across America, Kaczynski won infamy, and even a vast cult following as the Unabomber.
So I guess I've got to like
Other control.
tap there? No.
Kaczynski won infamy and even a vast cult following as the Unabomber. Other controllers of the Harvard psilocybin project included one Richard Alpert, later known as Ram Dass, included one Richard Alpert, later known as Ram Dass, Aldous Huxley, and a certain LSD-loving psychiatry teacher, and a certain LSD-loving psychiatrist, and a certain and a certain LSD-loving psychiatry teacher named Timothy Leary. All three individuals soon joined Gordon Wasson, forming counterculture. All three individuals soon joined Gordon Wasson, Albert Hofmann, and Henry Luce as gurus of the newly forming counterculture, where they pioneered a New Age movement based on an embrace of ancient pagan mysticism, sex, drug. Movement based on.
I keep joking about getting demonetized because these topics are getting kind of harsh. But I'm not monetized yet, guys, so don't have to worry about it yet. Maybe in the future.
Movement based on an embrace of ancient pagan mysticism, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. In 1961, Aldous Huxley described the importance of these new CIA brain drugs to Timothy Leary. These brain drugs, mass-produced in...
Okay, and I've got a quote, so I'm going to go to insert and drop my region marker.
These brain drugs, mass-produced in the laboratories, will bring about vast changes in society. This will happen with or without you or me. Spread the word. With or without you or me. All we can do is spread the word. The obstacle to this evolution, Timothy, is the Bible. Leary then the obstacle to this evolution.
Okay, end of quote. Drop my out region marker.
Leary then reflected on the obstacles they encountered as they sought to flesh out up against the Judeo-Christian religion.
Another quote. In region. If it works like before, I should be able to select by region and pull them into a different track. Now let's see, how can I'm going to save. Since we're doing a video here, and it's about you guys, not me. New audio montage, 48 kilohertz, create. Configure it. This will be Matt. Well, I've got my project here. The proper name. There is the name. Episode 3, VO redo. Okay. And I'll put this in, select it using the Finder. Okay, hidden hand, project, project files, Wavelab. Okay, so we're going to save everything there. Create. Okay, now, can I just pull this into the audio montage? I usually pull finished files into it. Oh, create audio montage from certain, add to audio montage. Copy file, okay. Keep this option doing it for the, okay. Create mono track. All right, cool. So then I won't need this track. Remove track. Add track, mono. And we'll switch the order there. Okay, so now we're in the audio montage view. Now, did it bring the markers over, I'm wondering? Maybe not. So that's something I'm going to have to look at. But I can quickly show you guys how the audio montage works. So this is... Oh, I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. Is it option X? No. How do I split It's been too long. No, that'll cut the whole thing. Sorry guys, it's been so long. Edit source, cut copy, crossfading, oh, come on. Auto split. Oh, how do I cut things? I forget. So yeah, so you've got clip gain in here now. Works much more like a DAW. And I can draw envelopes. Whoops. Can draw envelopes. I'm just remembering how to split a clip. Oh, is that it? That looks good. There we go. So it's like context based. Whoops. And now, sorry I'm acting like a dork, guys. I'm really rusty with Wavelab. I've been a DAW boy forever. Why won't it just select this? It's always selecting that too. Okay, so now you can have 2 tracks. Move everything together, and you can cross-fade tracks. It's actually very cool. Let's see if I can figure any of this stuff out again. Process. Fade. And each clip, much more like a video editor. You've got permanent in and out fades. Right, so there I've manually done a crossfade. You can set it to do that automatically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way back here. I'm just going to get rid of that audio montage. It goes much deeper. It's each clip in the montage can have its own clip effect, so you can run a whole chain of plugins inside each single clip. Each track can have its own chain of plugins, and then those all feed into the master bus with its own chain of plugins. So the power is really endless. It's very DAW-like.
We had run up against the Judeo-Christian commitment to one God, one religion, one reality that has cursed Europe for centuries and America since our founding days. Drugs that open the mind to multiple realities inevitably lead to a polytheistic view of the universe.
And this is by far and away my favorite spectroscope. I love the way it very intuitively has the ranges covered when you're
one God,
comparing
one religion,
to other reference tracks
one
and stuff.
God,
I find it clearer than any other that I've ever used, where it can try to match, spectrums to dock to last place. And the entire GUI is completely dockable and rearrangeable. It works on multiple monitors. So really, I mean, if you find yourself as someone that's constantly doing this kind of work, a standalone audio editor can really be worth it.
We had run up against the Judeo-Christian our founding days that has cursed Europe. Drugs that open the mind to multiple realities inevitably lead to a polytheistic view of the universe. We sensed that the time for a new humanist religion based on intelligence, good-natured pluralism, and scientific paganism had arrived.
Okay, and that's the out for the quote. Bing. And we're getting some plosives, eh? Let's go infinity. What do you mean I don't have the infinity EQ? Infinity? What? Slate digital. Slate digital. Whoops. EQ. Oh, InfinQ. That's dumb. I think it's called the Infinity EQ, and then they named the VST Inf EQ. Thanks a lot, Stephen Slate. All right. So let's get rid of some of these plosives that are coming in. but maybe dial in just a bump. Let's see how we're doing. He had a bunch of plosives.
Drugs that open the mind to multiple realities inevitably lead to a polytheistic view of the universe. We sense that the time for a new human... Drugs that open the mind to multiple realities inevitably lead to a polytheistic view of the universe. We sense that the time for a new humanist religion based on intelligence, good-natured pluralism, and scientific paganism had arrived. America's secret science program proved terribly effective as an entire generation watched their world go dark as the United States, once a beacon of freedom, now embarked on a new age of militarism, abroad, consumerism at home, and CIA assassination programs everywhere. Empire, the statism at home, and CIA assassination programs everywhere. With this conversion of the Republic into a corrupt expansionist empire, the stage was set for a new reactionary youth movement ready to embrace a new religion based on drugs, sex, and alien gods. 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 I don't know, pick one of those.
Yeah, last one was good, brother.
Not all scientists who had worked within the corridors of America's secret science program could be accused of being complicit in this dystopic agenda, however. One example is found in the figure of Manhattan Project chemist Dr. Leon Davidson, who soon became a leading expert on unidentified flying objects. Unlike other self-proclaimed UFO experts of his day, Dr. Davidson was not politically naive and diligently exposed the hand of Alan Dulles behind the grooming of a new belief in aliens. Dr. Davidson also took astute notice of the important role in this affair played by Alan Dulles' fellow OSS agent and mentor, Carl Jung. Davidson was among the very few truth seekers who recognized that Carl Jung's 1954 book, Flying Saucers, A Modern Myth of Things Seen in the Sky, was nothing short of a manual for social engineering and mass hypnosis in shaping a new religious order. Davidson wrote,
okay, there we go.
It became
the QR code to just to the right. The far left one, though, goes to Pluginboutique, but the one on there is the QR code to head over and find Wavelab, which I'm using right now. Oh, what just happened there?
Corridors of America's secret science program could be accused of being complicit in this dystopic agenda, however. One example is found in the figure.
Oh, it's got Windows undo redo. It's got Command Y for redo.
Agenda, however. One example is found in the figure of Manhattan Project chemist Dr. Leon Davidson, who soon became a leading expert on unidentified flying objects.
Interesting fact about Wavelab, it was coded by one guy
self-proclaimed UFO experts of his day. Dr. Davidson was not politically naive and diligently exposed the hand of Alan Dulles behind the grooming of a new belief in aliens. Dr. Davidson also took astute notice of the important. Davidson was among the very few truth seekers who recognized.
Okay, just checking something here. Cool, so basically what's going on here is this little preview stream. I'm going to be cutting this up to show some of the capabilities of Wavelab. Head down here to the very bottom right, probably can't be seen there. Even for render options, this thing is pretty wild. By dropping markers as I worked, I can have regions set up by region markers, CD tracks, whatever. Export them all as separate files, all one big file, one big file with the markers still, and bring them back into Wavelab for further processing. Set them up. I can do multiple renders at once, multi-render. I can pick different outputs, MP3s, Wave, Ogg Vorbis for gaming, whatever you want. The rendering here is incredibly powerful. And then we've also got batch processing, which you can load up this side with all your files, tell it how you want the output to be here, add, modify, append new file names to all of them. Really like endlessly powerful stuff. And then you can work multiple projects at once. You can have these tabs that are file groups. So you can have my voiceover plus then the audio montage that I'm going to put in there, plus the batch processor at the end is part of one group, and then make another file group that's going to contain a whole other set of stuff that's related or not. And it really is an endlessly powerful program, plus full ISRC code generation for CDs, full CD authoring and mastering within the application, right down to CD labeling. For some people, this is still a thing. It certainly was for me for years. One of my best regular clients was 3 times a year. Vocal singing class would come in and make fundraising CDs. And I'd have to burn all these CDs, and you can control everything here, and right from your editing application here, burn straight from here to a CD. And I was still doing that right up to last year. And you never know, right? It's good to be ready. It'll also burn data CDs for backup. It's truly an incredible program. And half off right now. If you're an existing Steinberg customer of any kind, go to steinberg.net and get your deal there, because they have upgrades and cross grades over there. Pluginboutique's running the half off sale, but they don't have cross grades and upgrades and that kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to call it for the stream. I'll be editing this and putting it up as its own little tutorial and show off for Wavelab later.